All right, guys. Here today we're gonna have the 7.22 gameplay update discussions. We're gonna talk about my thoughts on each of the changes and also as to why these changes may have incurred. There's always a reason as to why these changes need to happen, and in Dota, you always want to have um, this feeling that the game is changing and has like a fresh, you know, kind of new game that you're playing. You don't often get a lot of hero changes, but these updates, these balance patches, and things like that really tend to give a breath of fresh air to the game. So in this patch, there's quite a few changes, a lot in terms of game mechanics, items, heroes, and of course the big one was that every hero has received an Aghanim scepter. So add a new scepter upgrade for all of the 24 remaining heroes without an upgrade. So now it pretty much means that every hero can pretty much buy Ags, and not only that, if people like to play the unranked mode ability draft, then you can pretty much buy Aghanims on any hero and it will benefit you one way or another. And I think this is a pretty cool change. I think a lot of people have been wanting this for a very long time. I'm glad that Valve took the time to put that in. Okay, so moving on, we got updated various older scepters. So they kind of like there was a lot of scepters that weren't so good, and since they had to add new scepters, they wanted to make sure that everything was like kind of on the same level in that sense. So just some tweaks here and there. Scepters can now be consumed as a buff by purchasing a 2000 gold recipe upgrade. Scepter buffs do not grant secondary stat bonuses. So just to show you, we'll just demo a hero, which means that now if you have Aghanims, you buy the recipe, you can actually have an extra item slot later as well. So you have this is a scepter, it gives you plus 10 to all stats, it upgrades your skills. Then here's a second consumable, right? So you click this, there's your scepter that you've already bought, then you just buy this one recipe and it becomes scepter without an item. It gives you the effect, but you lose all the stats that you gain from it. So you lose all of the HP, the 175 HP, mana, and the 10 stats. But in exchange, it's no longer an item. It's no longer taking up a slot in your inventory. So it is basically like a 7th item, late game upgrade to your hero. So you can have another item slot available. So instead of having 5 branches in the scepter, now you can have 6 branches in the scepter. I'm kidding. You just buy real, late game items. Next, so that's a pretty cool way to like make late game a lot more easier to play with. I mean, I wouldn't say easier, but you have more purpose in the late game. I remember a really long time ago in Dota, you get 6-slotted and two teams are just fighting each other. They don't know what to buy. They're stacking up like 10k gold, 20k gold, spamming sentries or something. It doesn't make any sense. So it's just the same as Moonshard, but now also for scepters. Before, only Alchemist can give you this, which was super strong, but now any hero can pretty much buy it. So if you get 6k gold, you're 6-slotted on your Phantom Assassin. Of course, you're not buying Scepter first, but after you're 6-slotted, you can just easily buy a Scepter upgrade for him, for her even. So Roshan now drops a consumable Scepter buff item. The third Roshan will randomly drop either a consumable Scepter item or a refresher shard. The fourth Roshan has both. You can select Roshan to see his inventory and find out what items will drop. So this one didn't explain well that only the third Roshan can actually drop the scepter, because it says here Roshan now drops a consumable scepter buff item, but that could imply that the first Roshan can drop it or the second Roshan, but actually only the third one and so on can drop the scepter. And the scepter consumable is the same as we saw. It just gives you a buff, and it doesn't give you any of the stats, but it does upgrade your ultimate or whichever skill that the scepter upgrades according to the hero. So the third one is just a coin flip, either a refresher or a scepter item, and then after that they will have both refresher and scepter items. So really good for the late game. you have some nice power-ups for your heroes. I would even say the scepter item is even better than the refresher shard because you can have continuous use for it, whereas the refresher is just a one-time use. And most of the time, most of the games I've seen, refresher is like a really difficult item to, you know, kind of execute because you got to get that one big team fight and you got to make sure that the refresher is actually worth using. So the scepter item makes it easier for you to like take the team fight. So I would actually value the scepter consumable better than the refresher shard for the Roshan drop. Add a new visual effect under heroes that have a scepter upgrade. So added Mars to Captain's mode, added Io to Captain's mode. It's kind of controversial. A lot of people didn't like it, of course. Some people are like, whatever. The reason why they did this is because for TI, they want as many heroes, you know, that are in the game to be part of the game, so it can be, you know, shown. And this is the depth and the complexity that comes with Dota, right? The amount of heroes and how like they're almost all playable one way or another. So you don't want to like really exclude anyone. Io being added is huge. It's such a unique hero. No other hero in Dota is like Io, and we're gonna see a lot of first phase bans or picks in the earlier days. You know, people are not gonna understand how to play against it that well, but surely, you know, people will adapt. Not only play against it, but play with it, right? Yeah, we haven't seen Io in a very long time, so it's gonna take time for people to readjust. And Mars also a pretty decent hero. I think he has a lot of vulnerabilities, but you know, as time goes on, everything will always balance its way in Dota. So if Mars is too strong, then he'll be nerfed. If it's not too strong, then no one will pick it for a while, and then eventually he'll just get some small buffs. But I feel he's pretty decent. He does have a stun. His ultimate is really powerful in team fights. So we can see we can expect a lot of plays from both of these heroes in professional Dota in the upcoming days or month. Deny XP granted to the enemy. The player being denied increased from 35% to 40%. So this is pretty good. So in the laning, you're not gonna be as deprived as before. 5% doesn't seem big, but it is significant. I can see how laning can change, but you're not gonna see too much like playstyle changes where like a player's not gonna deny a creep anymore or something. They are gonna keep denying as much as they can to slow down their enemy. Death cost changed from 50 plus net worth divided by 40 to net worth divided by 40. So this is pretty big in early game. It means that you're not losing a lot of gold in the early game for deaths as you are in the past. Like 50 gold, like early game, like you die, you know, minute 1, 2, 3, or even for supports, like this 50 gold is everything sometimes. So it's pretty nice in the early game. You're not losing so much gold. Later in the game, of course, it doesn't matter. It's the same formula, but that 50 gold, base 50 gold that you lose when you die matters a lot for the early deaths. And there could be a chance that, you know, some heroes who, let's say supports who die early on in the game, they actually might want to die if they don't have any resources, like in terms of mana and HP. They're not going to lose so much money, and you know, they will still have enough to, let's say, buy that boot. Sometimes we always see heroes who die, they always try to buy whatever small items they can before they die. I think now it might not even be that important to buy those small items because you're not losing that 50 base gold no matter what. So they would just die, come back full mana, full HP, didn't lose a lot of gold, and then, you know, you're strong again. So kill streak XP bounty increased from 200 to 400 to caps out at 1800. So this is nice. That means I think when you have a triple kill, wait, was it killing spree? That's what it's called, killing spree. The XP bounty is already at a base of 400 compared to 200. So killing the kill streak heroes, it's gonna provide a lot more in terms of experience, and I really like this change. It's really helps. You know, it really commends people who try to play more active and try to, you know, kill heroes and things like that. So I'm a big fan of this change. Definitely rewarding for ganking playstyles. Yeah. XP requirement to reach level 5 to 6 reduced from 600, 620 to 580, 600. This just means that you get to hit level 6 just a little bit faster. Not that much faster. It's like 20 XP difference, but you know, just enough. It's like you know, 1 less melee creep or 1 or 2 less denies or something like that. So it's pretty good to hit your 6 faster. It definitely helps supports a lot, especially with the tome change we'll read soon. So this is really nice for supports. XP required to reach level 19 plus increased by 100 each level, so it'll just take you a little bit longer to hit to 25 and for your talent there. Range creeps XP now increased by 8 per upgrade cycle every 7.5 minutes. So XP in terms of farming and pushing out lanes as the game goes later, it's you know, easier to access. Range creeps give you the most gold as well, so I welcome this change. You know, definitely helps you try to get to those, you know, key level 15, 20 talents a lot easier as well as the game progresses. Siege creeps base attack time increased from 2.7 to 3. Siege creeps now spawn 2 units at 35 minutes instead of 30 minutes. Siege creeps can no longer be dominated, enchanted, or converted. So out of all this, the biggest point is definitely the siege creeps can no longer be dominated, enchanted, or converted, because there's some tower changes later that we will read, and because of that, the siege creeps are becoming more and more important in terms of being able to control the map and take objectives earlier in the game, since heroes don't do that much damage to towers compared to the siege creep, which does a lot of damage. So it cannot be dominated, enchanted, or converted, but so that's pretty much dominator. Then and Chen as well, he cannot take it. Enchanted is from Enchantress, and converted is from the Enigma. I'm not entirely sure if Lich, or like if, I mean, Lich doesn't have, you know, his death pact anymore, but if that also counted for converted before, if that, I think that was the only other skill that was under conversion. So and that's Enigma. So he cannot eat the catapults. I'm not sure if he can eat his own catapults. Probably not as well. So yeah. Then what can be done to the siege creeps would be Doom, who can devour the siege creep, and Marana, who can arrow the siege creep and kill it with one shot. And of course, you can still do like magic damage, but that has very high magic resist. So this is the reason why the siege creeps were also changed. Tier 3 plus towers damage increased from 152 to 175. So breaking high ground a little bit more difficult. Tier 1 tower protection aura armor bonus increased from 2 to 3. So if you're near a tower, you get an additional 3 armor now to help you out, so people don't dive you so easily. Tier 2 and on tower protection aura armor bonus increase from 4 to 5. So if you're standing next to a tier 2 defending, you're gonna get 5 armor. Tier 2 plus towers now have multi-shot attack when glyph is activated. Attacks up to 2 additional targets. Prioritizes the closest unit. So this was probably the coolest change. People are always asking for like the towers have split shot when they get glyphed, and here you have it. It's been put into the game. So the tier 2 towers, if you cast glyph and there's a lot of units there, they will have a split shot, so that you know, the pushes will be delayed a lot longer. So these all these changes in terms of the towers mean that it's a bit harder to take these towers in the early game, especially. So that's one of the reasons why the siege creeps were also slightly buffed up, so that we're not gonna have too slow of an early game, but you know, just slow enough where people are not just trying to snowball off just the towers alone. They will try to, you know, play off like other heroes and try to build up the early game a bit more, and then move on to that. Slightly adjusted radiant safe lane, hard camp position, and the terrain nearby. Reduce the chase duration of the hard camp neutrals on the radiant safe lane area. Radiant middle tier 2 towers now moved further to the left. Adjust the tree line to the right of the Radiant middle tier 2 tower. The Radiant mid lane medium camps now has 2 layers of trees behind it. Adjust the various dire neutral spot blocks. So majority of this is for Radiant nerfs, because Radiant just had a far higher win rate, and at the last major, even qualifiers and everything, the teams essentially chose Radiant, like prioritized Radiant above dire, I think 95% of the games, when it came to which sides you would want. So just to quickly run by, slightly adjust the Radiant safe lane hard camp is because the hard camp was too easy to pull into the lane, and it was really annoying for dire to try and contest it. So that's a nerf. Reduce the chase duration, so it's harder to pull the hard camp. Middle tier 2 tower is now moved further to the left, no longer has vision over the big camp, so if people up the opponent's side are in the big camp, sometimes you can see it because of the tower's positioning, but now they nerfed it so you won't be able to do that. And adjust the tree line to the right of the Radiant middle tier 2 tower. The Radiant mid lane medium camp now has 2 layers of trees behind it. So that was the medium camp. So if I was to just look at so that was the medium cap in this small area here. Everyone just like kind of quelling bladed or tangled like 2 trees, and they would be able to push the mid lane from Radiant and farm the medium camp. So now to farm that medium camp, you have to pretty much, you know, cut 2 times as many trees to do it, just making it a little bit more difficult. Because for dire to push the lane and they have to like run up this hill to farm the medium camp, it wasn't so easy for them to do. So yeah, just some changes to Radiant. Illusions can now lifesteal. Lifesteal now works against enemy illusions. So very very annoying. Illusions can now lifesteal, you know, so your you know, illusions can gain back HP. They can jungle a bit easier as well or something like that. But I mean, illusions don't lifesteal that much HP. I wouldn't say it's like a super significant change, but you know, it's still small buff. Lifesteal now works against enemy illusion. This one is pretty big. Calculated pre-illusion amplification. So previously, if you have like, let's say a satanic or Luna, you're satanic, you click it, you hit a Phantom Lancer illusion, you don't gain any HP back. But now, if you click satanic, you're, you know, you have like 500 HP left, you start hitting illusions, you're gonna be back to full. So I welcome this change. It was really annoying to buy satanic, especially against illusion heroes, but with this one, I can see it being a lot better of a skill. I mean, a lot better of a purchase. And we can maybe even see Luna's being played against Phantom Lancer in the late game a lot easier. Previously, Phantom Lancer would just destroy Luna because she didn't really have the item builds that she can go to try to sustain against it. So pretty cool. That's just one example. There's probably a lot more than that, but this is a really nice change. Polymind is no longer partially shareable. Ring of Regen, Ring of Terras, Sage's Mask, Ring of Health, Voice of Perseverance. So this was basically because of Enigma. Enigma in the last patch was non-stop. In like every game, he just didn't buy any items. He bought 2 Clarities. He went to the jungle. He farmed a camp. He got enough money to buy a Ring of Health. This one here, Ring of Health. And then he gave 6 health regen. He just gave it to his offlaner, whoever it was, and they just went to the offlane, and now they were sitting there with plus 6 HP regen. So it didn't feel like people were playing Dota, and the Enigma was just too strong, so that was just removed. This was actually a big thing in Dota 1 people used to do. They just shared the regen between each other. In Dota 2, people like never did that for I think 6 or 7 years, and now because of the Enigma playstyle, it came back, and there you go, it's all removed now. So you cannot share these items, and it will not give any benefits to your teammates. Roshan base armor increased by 2. Roshan attack damage per minute increased from 4 to 6. Last hit gold bounty range changed from 3 to 5. Average unchanged. Roshan last hit XP bounty reduced from 750 to 400. So this is like made Roshan stronger, especially the attack damage per minute increase from 4 to 6. He's like 50% stronger every minute than the last one, and this is mainly because of the changes to the Roshan drops, since it gives Aghanims and it it possibly refresher shard, and on the fourth Roshan it gives 2. So they want to make it so it's a lot more difficult to kill Roshan with just smaller number of heroes, because you're probably going to tank a lot of damage. So you need to, like, it's a really big team objective, more of a team objective now than it was before, but even before it was already a big team objective. So just making Roshan stronger because of the changes of the drops that he gives now. Satyr Tormentor's Unholy Aura HP regen reduced from 5.5 to 5. The timer that credits a player for a kill when Radiant Dire gets the final hit is increased from 20 to 30 seconds. So this one just small nerf to the creep. And then the timer that credits a player for a kill from 20 to 30, so you have more chances to get a rampage. So if you kill, if you have, if you get 4 kills and then you just need within the 30 seconds to get another kill, you still get a rampage. So you're definitely gonna see a lot more rampages. Okay, so this is pretty cool. Heroes can now have non-standard initial attack speed values, previous 100 for all heroes. So that means that every hero started with 100 attack speed. And now they have given some heroes extra attack speed, pretty much. So Abaddon from 100 to 115. So everyone started at 100. Now they have 115. Broodmother 125. CM 115. Gyro 125. Mirana 115. Sansa 115. Slark 120. Veno 115. Weaver 120. So all these heroes are pretty much heroes that were, I would say, like tier 3 to tier 4 in terms of pick values. I mean, Abaddon was tier 1, but then, like, the reason why they upgraded this, I feel, is because he did get nerfed down when we go to the heroes list, and but to be honest, the playstyle that he was having right now, he didn't really attack anybody. So just some small, just for him only, I feel is a one that's an exception compared to the other ones, because the other heroes definitely were not picked so often. So just to give you perspective, I'll just show you one hero, Mirana. She had 100 base attack speed. Okay, so she now has, without any items, 133 attack speed. So every hero started with 100. Now they gave her an additional 15 attack speed, so that goes to 115. And Mirana starts with 18 agility, so that's also 18 attack speed given to her. So that's how you make up the 133 attack speed. And 15 attack speed is, just a little bit less than a Gloves of Haste. That's so pretty much, I would say, like, she got like 400 gold of value buff. So that's pretty nice, right? I mean, you're getting this 15 attack speed for free without actually buying any items. Feels pretty good. So if we look at another hero in that list who got buffed, like, who would we say got the biggest buff then in this sense? Someone got 25 attacks. So Gyrocopter, he got 25 attack speed. That's huge. Broodmother too, 25 attack speed, starting the game with an additional 25 attack speed from compared to last patch. Slark starting with the Glove of Haste, pretty much, and we've seen a lot of Slark who also buy Glove of Haste first item in laning stage, so he gets that. So it's pretty nice for them. Really nice buffs, and I like what they did here. Heroes can now have non-standard base mana regen values. So Klings, Lich, Pugna, SF, Techies, Tinker, Trent, Weaver, Zeus, all buffed. So they have additional mana regen, especially Techies, who has an additional 1.0 base mana regen. That's insane. It's like, if I look at Crystal Maiden, her aura, level 1, she gives 1 mana regen to her teammates. So I mean, Techies pretty much starts with a CM aura at level 1 now. Lich, that's also nice for him. All this is like small buffs, but definitely they're so happy. Yeah. All the players playing these heroes themselves, they're so happy with these buffs. Mana is everything, right, in the game. To push out lanes, to farm, to gank. Your spells are what makes the game what it is. Right, so those were all the changes up here. The next one is going to be the item changes.